About 16 years ago, I was in a horrific car crash. My car fell in the ditch, and because of that, I sustained numerous injuries. List is a bit long, it's a disclaimer, please don't get scared. Radius and ulna of my right arm got fractured. My shoulder bone and collarbone got fractured. My lungs and liver were badly injured because my entire rib cage got fractured. And I had immense internal bleeding. But the injury that really changed me as a human being completely, an injury that really changed the perspective of life completely, was the spinal cord injury. 3 vertebrae of my backbone got completely crushed. I was rushed to a hospital where I was declared halfway down paralyzed, which means that there is no movement, there is no sensation in my lower limb. So when I sit, I feel like I'm sitting on a cloud. And I've been using this wheelchair since then. Such is life. How in blink of an eye, everything changed. How in blink of an eye, I changed. At the age of 20, I was running around, living my life to the fullest, dreaming big, aiming high. Little did I know that I'd be celebrating my 21st birthday in ICU. There you see the picture. Half fractured, half paralyzed. This is what life is. So unpredictable. And it was something that really made me realize that if you think about what you have lost, you won't be able to move forward. So you need to learn to heal yourself day by day. I stayed in the hospital for almost 2.5 months. I underwent multiple surgeries. Doctors have put a lot of titanium in my arm. There's a lot of titanium in my backbone. And probably it's one of the many reasons why I'm known as the Iron Lady of Pakistan, because I've got so much iron in my body. Every time I share the story of my pain with a smile on my face, I see people sitting in the audience smiling. And it just makes me so happy. But let me tell you something. It's never easy to be this strong. We all try to hide our flaws from the world. It's difficult to be an open book. It scares everyone, it scares me too. But I do it anyway because I know that we all human beings are broken from the inside in some way or the other. And all we need is someone who can come up and say, you know what, I'm broken too. And that we are all in this together. I stayed in the hospital for 2.5 months, underwent surgeries, and I realized that healing does not happen to you overnight. Healing takes time. It's a rough journey, full of pain, full of turmoil, full of hurt, full of sleepless nights. And it was during my time in the hospital, when I was on my literally deathbed, I realized that hospital is a place where the world becomes so brutally honest to you. I remember the doctor who was supposed to fix my arm came in the room and said, well, I was having a word with your mother outside, and she said, you have always aspired to become an artist. I said, yes, sir. He said, well, your arm is totally deformed and so is your hand. Do you have a plan B? And a girl who just celebrated her 21st birthday in ICU did not have a plan B. He looked at me and he said, I wish you all the best, and he left. A few days later, my spine surgeon enters the room and said, I have to tell you 2 things and I want you to be strong. And I said, yes, go ahead. He said, your spine injury is dreadful and I'm here to let you know that you won't be able to walk again. I will try to fix your back so that at least you can sit in the wheelchair for the rest of your life. And there is one more thing I want you to prepare yourself for. You will never be able to become a mother because of your internal injuries. And when I heard those words, I was devastated. As a mom, as a woman, as a girl, this was not the kind of life I wanted to live. And I remember that night that I spent in ICU was the most painful night for me. My mother was standing next to my bed and I looked at her and I was crying and sobbing. I looked at her and I said, Mom, you said God loves me. Then why did He do this to me? What did I do to deserve this? Here I am laying on deathbed, half fractured, half paralyzed. There's nothing to look forward to. I do not want to live. I'm done. And I cried and I did all that I could that we all do. I was hopeless. I was helpless. I was hurting myself. I was pulling my hair. I did everything to hurt myself and to end my life. And my mother was standing there like a stone, holding my hand tight. And when I was done crying and sobbing, she held my hand and she said, seeing my only daughter paralyzed paralyzes me too. But I'm here to remind you that this will pass because nothing lasts forever, neither grief nor joy. And one day will come that you will be shown why were you chosen for this test. So be patient. But the problem with such dark moments is that when we are in the darkest of the moments, nothing makes sense to us. My mother said something so profound, but it did not make any sense at that time. A few weeks later, my brothers came in the room and they had colors and canvases and sketchbooks in their hands. And they said, Listen, if you are done venting and crying, get up and draw and paint something. Nobody's going to judge you. You have to kill time, so do it creatively. And I just hated them. Dude, I'm a patient. Treat me like a patient. They said, get up and just do your work. We are done with this now. And bless their kind hearts. This was the best decision of my life, that with the deformed hand, being bedridden, I started drawing and painting. And in that moment, I realized that thank goodness I did not have a plan B, because this plan A kept me alive. It was through art that I was able to escape. It was so therapeutic that without saying a single word, I was creating and I was drawing and I was sharing my story of pain, trauma, and suffering. I got discharged from the hospital after 2.5 months, and then I was shifted in my room where I stayed bedridden for another 2 years because I developed massive pressure sores on my body, and I had so many infections in my body. Sores were not healing, infections were not leaving, so I was supposed to stay bedridden for another 2 years. The only thing that kept me going and kept me alive was art. I kept painting, I kept drawing, and my mother was stacking up all that artwork underneath my bed where I was bedridden for so long. It was through art that I could free myself from all the hurt, from all the pain, and it was the only source of colors in my life. And one fine day, all sores healed and infections disappeared, and I was able to sit for the first time in my wheelchair after 2 years and 2.5 months of being bedridden. That moment was special for me, and I call that moment the moment of rebirth. I remember when my brothers brought the wheelchair inside the room. I hated my brothers then, and I hated that wheelchair. I could not fathom the fact that this wheelchair is going to be my only reality for the rest of my life. This was not the kind of life I wanted to live, but I had no choice. So they made me sit on the chair, and then they left because they knew that it's my moment. I remember I looked at myself in the mirror, and the person that you see in this picture is me. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I just could not recognize myself. I was so weak, I was so pale, I was so underweight, my hair was all chopped off because I couldn't brush or shampoo my hair, so we had to chop it off. I looked at myself and I hated that sight. I just could not recognize the person I was looking at. And I cried for hours and hours. And then I was tired of crying. I looked at myself again in the mirror and I said, you know what? The damage is done and it's not getting better. And it's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong to deserve this. Now you've got two choices. You can either sit in the corner of the room, look at your wounds, cry, and wait for a miracle to come and make you walk. Or you can just accept yourself the way you are and start living from now. And that's what I did. I chose option number 2. I decided to live and breathe again. It was in that moment of rebirth I realized that I had to face the weakest me to find the strongest me. I had to re-find myself, and then I had to refine myself. And it was not easy. Self-acceptance is a long journey. Self-respecting is a long journey. Self-love takes time. And I realized that I was trying to love myself and accept my reality, but there was something that was stopping me from being the best version of myself. And that was a long list of fears. The fear of known and the fear of unknown. I sat down and I wrote down all the fears that were stopping me from being me. The biggest fear that I had to overcome was facing people. Coming from a public speaker is quite ironic, but it's true. I was scared of facing people. Not because I did not want to go and greet people, but I was sick and tired of listening to the mean comments like, she must have done something wrong, that's why God punished her. She's too pretty to be in the wheelchair. Or she is a woman who cannot reproduce. What a waste. I've heard all of these remarks and comments. I was tired of being treated as a patient. And I wanted the world to know that I'm not just this face or body. This wheelchair is a part of me, and that's not the only thing about me. There's so much more to this human being. But I also knew for a fact that I have to go out and about to change perceptions about disabled people. And I had to get stronger with that. And while I was thinking of overcoming this fear of facing people, I got a call from TEDx. And they said, we have seen your pictures on social media, we have seen your artwork on social media. Why don't you come and give a talk and share your life story with the world? And without skipping a heartbeat, I overcame that fear and I said, yes, I will do it. And there I was, at the center stage at TEDx, my very first talk ever that I gave about 10 years ago. And when I gave this talk, I remember right after the talk, a girl from the audience came to me. She was crying and she gave me a hug and she said, "Thank you. Today your 10-minute TED Talk has solved 10 problems of my life. I was complaining about little things in life and I was at the verge of giving up. But because of you, I will not give up." If you are that person and you're sitting here right now, I'm here to let you know that you're not alone, that I was sent here for you, and this message is for you. And in the darkest of the moments, remind yourself that you are the hero of your own story, and heroes never give up. So chin up and keep fighting.